don't forget your water, okay? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Coach Magali. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, I appreciate you being here. Here on my channel, I talk all things fitness, nutrition, living a healthy lifestyle, while also busting a lot of BS information out there to give you exactly what you need and only what you need to achieve the results that you want. Today's topic is quite a controversial one. There are so many opinions about how to use this tool, what it means, and how you should use it. And I'm going to start off by saying two things, two little disclaimers. If you don't want to use a weight scale and you've made that decision for yourself, whether it's because you're trying to protect your mental health, you don't really care about your weight, you don't have to have a reason, you just don't want to, cool. I'm not here to convince you to use this scale, so if that's you, you're not interested, no worries, you do you. Also, I will say that there's many different ways to use the weight scale and they're all different, but there isn't like a right way to do it. I just think the way that I approach it has been the best for me and my clients. And I find that it helps restore the relationship with it. But there's many ways to approach the weight scale. If this doesn't resonate, if it doesn't click, do what works best for you. With that out of the way, my main priority with this video, you guys, is to clear the air on exactly how the weight scale works, what your weight is telling you depending on the goals that you have, and how to use it and what to do with that feedback. And I think a big problem, especially for women, is that we place so much power on what that number says. We think it's the end all be all for what our progress is looking like, and if it's not going the way that we want it to go, we get very upset and we almost feel like we failed, despite that it may not be what you think it is. And that's the problem, is we don't know how to read it. We're not taught this. We just say, if you're heavy, you're heavy. If you're gaining weight, it's bad. If you're losing weight, it's good. We just leave it at that. But there's so much more to it. And that's what I want to clear up in this video. So if you like videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video if you do enjoy it, and let's get right into it. This little guy, this is one of my favorite weight scales. I think it's one of the best out there because it has an app that comes with it that allows you to analyze the data. So it's like 30 bucks on Amazon. It's a little bit pricier than others, but I think it's worth it. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested. But we're talking about this little guy, this weight scale. I'm first going to start off with the common mistakes that we do with the weight scale, and then also how to correct them after that, and my tips and tricks on how to use it properly. Mistake number one, not weighing yourself often enough or too often. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of conversations I have with clients and people who are asking about the weight scale and how to use it, I ask them, so when do you weigh yourself, in what conditions, and around what time? And I get answers like, I do it after dinner, I do it at night, I do it after my workout, and then the next day I'll do it in the morning, and then the following day I'll do it in the evening, or I haven't weighed myself in months. So it's like two extremes, right? We're weighing ourselves multiple times a day with varying different conditions, and I'll explain why that's a problem. Or we just don't look at it at all, and then we step on it 6 months later only to realize, holy crap, I'm way heavier than I was expecting, now I'm upset. So the problem with these two things is if you're weighing yourself too frequently, meaning more than once a day, and measuring yourself at different points in the day, you're not going to have consistent information. In the morning when you wake up, you have to pee, you have to go to the restroom, you're one weight, you pee it all out, you're another, and then you eat, and then you're another weight, and then you go walk and eat and have lunch, you're another weight. Your weight is so easily influenced by what you're doing minute by minute. Your weight can change in an instant. Don't believe me? You have to poop really bad? Step on the scale, weigh yourself, poop it all out, and then weigh yourself again. Watch how quickly the weight drops. This is why I don't recommend you weighing yourself throughout the day at various different times, because your weight's gonna be like all over the place. It's gonna be a million different numbers. You're gonna go up and down like 4, 5, 6, maybe even more than that pounds a day, depending on what you're doing. So it's not accurate, it doesn't really tell you anything, and it's a very inconsistent way to track progress. Now, if you're doing it never and you wait months and months and months until you check it, then you don't really know at all like what has happened in that time. I have a client, for example, I'll give a quick story. She told me when we first met, when we were starting to work together about a month ago, that she was around 160. And then she later told me that she didn't really know that that was her weight. She was just assuming that's what it was. So then we go to measure her 3-4 weeks after she told me that, and she's 167. But the thing is, as a coach, I can't be like, yeah, you gained 7 pounds, because she told me that that's what she thought it was, but she was not sure. And lo and behold, I told, because she weighed herself throughout the day after eating, I told her, weigh yourself in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, before you eat anything, and tell me what that weight is. it was 162. So we have like wildly different numbers all over the place. We don't have any consistent data to compare it to. When you're really wanting to see your progress with weight loss and fat loss, not weighing yourself ever, I think is a disservice to you and your progress. But that's just my opinion. So what is the best way to weigh yourself? If it's something that you can do and you want to give it a try, here's the most accurate and best way to do it in my opinion. You weigh yourself every single morning, one time. First thing in the morning, after you poop and pee, before you eat or drink anything, completely naked, and before you go do anything else. Before you start running around, grabbing your water, getting the kids ready, do it as soon as you wake up, go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, get on the scale. The reason why it's best to do it like this is your emptiest state. And you can take that measurement every morning and it's going to be consistent. So now you can look at your information and you can rely on it because it's been measured at the exact same time throughout the day. Then you can see 3, 4, 5 weeks later what's going on and you can rely on the data. And why I choose to do daily is because we will eventually get a weight loss graph. And that's what I really like about this brand, is that it comes with an app that automatically does that for you. It logs it into the app, and then over time you're going to see all these little data points and it's going to create a graph for you. The more information that we have in that graph, the better. Why we don't want to be doing it at different points in the day is that it's going to create all these different data points that are all over the place that aren't really going to give us any information. So just stick to the one time in the morning in the conditions I described and do it every single day. If you don't want to weigh yourself daily, I would suggest at least once or twice a week. That way you have consistent data. But again, sticking to the in the morning, before you eat or drink, after you use the restroom, completely naked conditions, because that's going to be the most accurate. It's just going to take a little bit more time to get data points on your graph because you're doing it once a week versus every single day. You're going to have a lot more information faster. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. It's just the fastest, most accurate way to do it. Once to twice a week is fine too. Anything less than that, like every other week or once a month, is not enough information to really do anything with it. And again, you might catch yourself on a low day and think you're doing great, but you might actually be gaining, or you might catch yourself on a high day, but if you look at the graph, you're decreasing. So again, once or twice a month or even less than that is not reliable, and it's going to make using the scale much more trickier and give you more anxiety, in my opinion. So that's why I prefer daily, but again, once or twice a week is fine. Anything less than that, I don't recommend. Over time, you're going to get a graph very similar to this. There's a lot of different data points that resemble kind of like a roller coaster. It's up and down, left and right, going all over the place. What is going on? And if I were only to take one chunk of a week, so I only take this section right here and I zoom in a week's time, I'm going to think there's nothing happening. I'm maintaining. There's no progress happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freak out. I'm going to give up and binge and do whatever I do when I feel like I'm not making progress, and then start again. But here's a big picture that you're missing. If you wait 3-4 weeks and continue to log your data, then you can zoom out on the graph and see, is it going straight? Is it decreasing or is it increasing? And those different 3 outcomes are going to tell you if what you're doing is working. That is it. If it's straight, you're maintaining. If it's going up, you are gaining weight. If it's going down, you're losing weight. But the key here is, this is mistake number 2, you don't weigh yourself long enough. You only give it a week or 2, and then you don't see the numbers that you want to see, and you give up. You really need like 3 solid weeks. I would prefer 4 at least to see the overall pattern. Sometimes your weight will go up and down, varying for different reasons. If you're on your period, if you overate a little bit, if you're stressed, if you're sleep deprived. I mean, there's 1,000,001 things that cause your weight to go up or down. But if you zoom out in a month, you can pretty much rely on what is that graph telling you. Why I like to weigh myself daily, but not more than that, is because I want to know what's going on, and I don't want to be surprised. When my weight is going up steadily, I catch it in time. If it's decreasing when I don't want it to be decreasing, I catch it on time. And I no longer have the fear or the unpleasantness of seeing a number that I don't like. I just understand it's part of a graph, and in a few weeks, I'm going to know what's really going on. Now, if you get to the 4 weeks and the weight is very clearly going up, then you know what you're doing is a little bit off. There's some things that you need to work on. Maybe you're overeating a little bit on the weekends and you're not really counting that, or you deprive yourself all day and you end up binging at night, so maybe attack that issue. Maybe you're not active enough throughout the day and you want to get your steps up or going on more walks, and then we can attack it from a healthy place. Like, okay, clearly what's happening is not the result that we want, so how can we adjust things a little bit to ensure that that graph starts moving downwards? Using the scale can be very useful because it gives you a lot of data on what your body is doing, and if you're constantly checking in on yourself without attaching any emotion to it, you're able to analyze and critically think about things from a perspective of, it's not working, so let me fix it, versus I'm a piece of shit for being heavy, I'm gonna give up and stop. That's how I prefer to use a weight scale. I think it's one of the most effective ways to do it, and if you really have a solid plan and you're remembering that this is part of the process, it's data, it's just numbers that are going to go into a graph and give you an explanation of what you're doing, then it stops holding this power over you, this control over you, and this fear and this stress, anxiety about it, and you just look at it as a tool. Guys, it's a weight scale. It's something that's measuring how much gravity is pulling you down. That's what it is. It's not a measure of who you are as a person, your capabilities, your strength, even the things that you need to work on, because sometimes you'll lose weight and it's a bad thing because it's not your goal, or you're losing muscle, and sometimes you're gaining weight because you want to gain weight or because you are putting on more muscle than you thought. So yay, that's a good thing. This isn't inherently good or bad. This isn't inherently the only, and it isn't the only thing that matters either. Tracking your progress with what your weight is and the weight scale is a part of a large toolbox that you have available to you. Other things that matter as well: how your clothes are fitting, how you're feeling, how your workouts are going in the gym, how are your eating habits, how is your confidence, how is your energy, are you getting winded less, are you sleeping better, do you feel like more energetic throughout the day? All of these things matter as well, and they go along with this. This isn't telling you the whole story, but it is part of it, and if you learn to use it effectively, it's a good tool to use. So to wrap up my thoughts here, understanding the scale is a tool. It's not the only tool. It's not the end-all be-all tool. And also keep in mind, even though the weight scale may be moving in the direction that you want it to move, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's good, because if you're gaining weight and your goal is to build muscle, but you're not really training that hard, you're eating a lot of food, and you're gaining mostly fat, that may not be a good thing. If you're trying to lose weight and you're losing weight, but it's because you're really stressed out, you're not eating, you're working out an over-the-top amount, you're stressed, your joints are hurting, you're not really feeling that great, even though the weight scale is moving in the direction that you want it to move, it's not a good thing. I want to make it very clear that the weight scale is not the only thing you should be using to track your progress. Like I said, the things that I listed previously are also very important, and they also need to be considered and measured. That's pretty much it, you guys. I just wanted to make a short video explaining this and really getting this message across, because I feel like it's such a stressful topic and really misunderstood, and it causes a lot of unnecessary anxiety and stress about it, when in reality it doesn't need to. And it's a good tool to use if you know how to use it correctly. And I feel like the more people know this, the more they understand this, their lives are just going to be a lot better, because they're not going to be obsessing over the scale and connecting it to their self-worth, or having so much fear around it that they never touch it. I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that it kind of made you feel a little bit more confident in the scale and learning how to use it, and also reinforcing that the scale is not an indicator of who you are as a person, or even, it's not even telling the whole story. It's just part of it. Use it properly. It's going to be a great thing to use, but don't let it overrule everything and be the only thing that you measure your self-worth and progress to. That's a recipe for failure and disappointment. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do not forget to subscribe down below. It does help my channel out. Share this video with anyone you know that needs to hear this. Like the video. Let's get this message out there so that more people learn how to use the scale correctly, and it stops having this insane amount of power over them. With all of that out of the way, thanks again for being here, you guys. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.